This video will teach you how to make an entrance or exit slip in Typst, as I think it's a pretty sweet piece of software for this sort of application. So first of all, we need to create a new project, entrance slip, and then here we go. It started up. It presents you with like a coding window on the left and a preview on the right. We'll start by making a title. To do so, we put an equal sign, then a space, and then the words you want to be your title. In this case, I want it to be plant tissues, because that's what we learned yesterday. I like my questions in an enumerated list, so like with numbers next to them. So to get that, you push a plus and then a space, and then you start typing. You can also just put a number and a dot and get it too, but I prefer just typing a plus sign because it will automatically update the question if you move it around to the new proper number, which is pretty nice. Word also does this, but it is a nice feature nonetheless. So let's start with the question of why do stomata close at night? We'll put the next question. Which type of plant tissue are stomata located in? And we'll put a third question. Cells that perform a similar function are called ... All right. Well, the first issue we have with this is we need some space in between these. So we're going to use our first bit of code. To get into coding mode, we put a hashtag, and then we write the one we want. I want a vertical space, so I'm going to type V, and that's all we need for vertical space. Plus a length. So I'm going to put a length of 2 centimeters, and it will give them 2 centimeters. That might be too big though, so let's give them 1 centimeter. The first thing we should notice though is that it's ruined our list. We now have 1 space 1. Well, we need to figure out what the cause of this is. What Typst uses is indentation to figure out if you're still going on with your list or not. What we've done here is we don't have it indented, so it's restarting our list. If we tab over this, we see our numbers return to 1, 2, 3. All right, back to it. Let's put vertical spaces in these other 2 as well. All right, now let's put a multiple choice question in here. Gas exchange happens by which mechanism? To get a sublist for our enumerated list, you just space or tab in, and then put a plus sign and then a space and start typing. Diffusion, active transport, osmosis, or facilitated diffusion. This is not quite what we want typically. I like my multiple choice questions with A through B or A through D. And to do so, we need to edit the way our enumerator appears. So we're going to use a new command called the set command. To give the set command, since we're in word mode, like where we get words out, like hello world, we need to enter coding mode with a hashtag, and we're going to use set now. The thing we want to change is the enumerated list. So we're going to write enum. You see here, it auto-completes for us. And then it gives us a list of suggestions of things we can change. What I want to change is the numbering. It's telling us that we need to put a string in here, or a function, but a string is good. Strings you can make with a quote. So we'll use open quotations to get it started. And then we can type A. Okay, well that's changed everything to A. It's not quite what we wanted. We want it to be numbers for the questions, and then the lower level lists we want to be letters. So let's go back a space and type a 1 in. Notice how it changes them all to first level is numbers, now second level is letters. You can even do third level with these little I things if you like those little things. Hello, this is the next level. You can use these guys, a star, to get the symbols. You can use Roman numerals. And then little Roman numerals. Or Roman numerals, then numbers. Oh, we have to put the first one in there. All right. Now, the one thing I would like that I'm missing here is some sort of break between the number and the sentence. So what we can use is a period or a bracket or a dash, whatever you like. But you could use a percentage sign too. Yeah. Anything that's not a number really can be used. Okay, let's use a period. I like that. And let's get back to A through B. And then we can use I for those little ones, but we won't use that in this list anyway. Now, this is a fine entrance slip. However, I think it's not a very efficient use of paper to print it this way. So what we want to do is make it repeat a few times on the paper. So we're going to make a variable of our text content in order to do so. We're going to need to use the hashtag to enter coding mode. And now, instead of the set command, we need the let command. Let allows you to declare a variable. So let, and then I'm going to call my variable C equal, so I'm assigning C to this. And then in order to capture all the text, since we're in coding mode, and I need to get to text mode, I open square brackets. So in text mode to get to coding mode, hashtag. In coding mode to get to text mode, square bracket. When I press this square bracket, it's all going to disappear, which seems bad at first, but it's not, because now we can get it back by just typing hashtag C or Octothorpe C right there, just again and again, and get it as many times as we want. And now it's onto a new page. So that's really great. We can now cut this thing up, hand it out, and we're getting 3 to a page now versus 1 to a page. But I think we can do even better. We can now do 4 to a page if we put columns in it. Let's change the number of columns we have on the page. So we need to use our set command again and access the page. So columns are a property of the page. They can also be a property of other things, but in this case it's property of the page. And you can set the page and see how it tells you columns as a suggestion. And it tells you an integer. We can do 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. I would like 2 columns, so I think that looks best. This allows us to cut our exit slip in half and get even more out of it. We do notice, though, that we're having some issues here. We have it cycling through over to the top right here. That's not great. So we need a break in here. When we're in the column environment, in order to get to a new part of the page, we put a call break in. So this is forcing a column break. And there we go. We now have 4 exit slips on one page that we can cut up. This is fine and it's probably good enough. But what if you want it to be evenly spaced? You want to be able to cut it into 4 perfectly symmetrical little, or maybe not symmetrical, equal entrance slips. This is where our V command comes in handy again, our vertical space command. What we can do is start making sure that everything has the same spacing around it. So 1 V, and then instead of putting an absolute length, we can put a relative length, 1 FR. So FR is just a fraction of the page or fraction of the space, whatever you have. And what we've done here is everything but what's taken up by the margin and the already spoken for space by the words is now taken up by that fraction. If we put one below, we see that now we have even space top and bottom. Let's put one in the middle. It looks slightly off. That's because this one has a full fraction on top. This one has a full fraction on the bottom, but they each are sharing 1 fraction. So the middle one, we need 2 fractions. It's still not quite right though. The issue here is our margins. So what we need to do at this point is get rid of our Y margins. We'll put margin, and then this allows us to access the Y, and we put 0 centimeters in. Now it ruins the other side, but it makes the left-hand side perfectly symmetrical, which is handy. And this side over here, we don't really need to worry about because we're going to scoop up all of the left-hand side into a variable. And you can do this all in coding mode since this is all code, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it in text mode, and then I'm going to type it, the variable, to get the stuff back. And then all I have to do to get it on the other side again is push D. So this allows you to repeat yourself very effectively when you want to save paper or whatever. And I would like to notice that this is a lot better than copying and pasting because you can get live updating on all your different papers. It's not like Word where if you've copied and pasted it across, you have to go back, Control F, find and replace it all, whatever. Which is pretty fast, but it requires a little more thinking once you're to Control F every osmosis, and then now we have to replace it with, reverse osmosis or something like that, and then replace all. You need to think very carefully about your formatting, and why is it not, there it is. You have to think about your formatting, whereas this, how would you make this separated out like that easily in Word? I don't know how you'd find and replace that easily anyway. Okay, so we can edit our different sides very easily. It's still not perfectly symmetrical though. The issue here is our margin and our gutters are not aligned. So let's fix our X margin. We're going to set it to something explicit. Let's say 1.5 centimeters. That's a fine margin. And you can still see our gutter is too small in between these things. So what we need to do now is hit our columns. So we're going to set column and now gutter. Gutter allows us to change our column width, and we can, once again, if we put 1.5 centimeters, we see that it's not quite right yet. Similar problem as before. You need to account for both sides of each piece when you're cutting them up like this. So we're going to get 3 centimeters in the middle. So we're looking pretty even now. So these will be pretty good size pieces. Our text is perhaps a little big. So what we can do now is set the text size. So we're accessing text now, set text. And then we're going to pick size. Oops, that's not text. Text size. See, it suggests it right down here. There's lots of options. And then we can pick how many points. Let's say 11 points. See how that looks. Oh, that's the default. Let's try 10 points. 10 points looks pretty good. Our headers are still bigger. It's all updated live. Perhaps we want to swap out our 1 centimeters here with 1.5. So 1.5 cm. Replace all those. Yeah, that looks a bit better. It's looking like we have a document we can use here. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you found it informative and useful.